Hello everybody, and let's do another 75-gallon shrimp tank today. This tank is my green Jade 75-gallon tank, and look at what we got going on here. We've got lots and lots of moss to harvest out of this. We've run out of open space to look at shrimp, but the green Jades I can see right there look pretty good in my opinion. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out most of the moss, and then we're going to draw out as many shrimp as we can and start calling. Obviously, I haven't been able to call too much with the tank looking like this. So basically what had happened was I sold a whole bunch of shrimp out of this tank, and then I quit selling out of it to let it go gain back up. We got lots of little, we got the population growing back up again. So I did hands off for about the last 3 months. So now we're gonna uncover everything and see what we got here. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do here is what we always do is we gotta get rid of this algae mass. We don't want that algae. We're gonna pull it out. So this side over here isn't nearly as bad. So we're gonna get this and just kind of do this thing with it. Twist it up. It folds itself, and it's pretty easy to get most of it out. Now that looks pretty good right in through here, I think. Let's see, I see a few strands right here. But really, considering how much moss is in this tank, that's really pretty good. Then let's go back over here and start working on this big mess. I can't wait to see how big this crypt is, and this is the time with this tank, this moss will sometimes start messing with the crypt. So when you get a great big thing like this, watch out shrimps. We're gonna hold it down. Watch out shrimps. Hold it down, pull. Hold it down, pull. Wrap around, making sure we're trying not to get any shrimp. Hold it down, twist, twist, twist. Hold this part down, twisting, still twisting. Alright, that's a whole lot right there. Now we got some moss with that. That moss is caked in algae, so we don't care about that. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good. That's most of the algae. That's pretty good. We're going to start pulling the moss. So we want to clear all the moss all the way around this great big patch of crypt. And so then we have a big, we want as much open space as we can so we can manage our shrimp better. So then we're going to clear out all this moss, and then all this will be open, and all this will be open. Let's get started pulling out the moss. So you may be saying, what the heck is going on here? Well, what I'm doing here, this tank has 2 really good filters, 2 great big hang on the backs. So we ripped up the moss and there's a bunch of this mulm settled down in there underneath it. Now this, with these filters, there's enough flow and stuff in here It'll eventually get all this, so I just gave it a helping hand, stirring it up. We'll let everything settle out, and then eventually over time, with activity in the tank, there's plecos in there, and the really strong filters and a good current in here, and it'll all get sucked up, and we don't have to worry about that problem in this tank with a bunch of mold and the substrate turning into mud. So we just gotta go in there and stir it up every once in a while when we do this, and the filter will get it. So now, unfortunately, we are dealing with a little bit of cloudiness, and it will probably be this way, like I said, until the filter gets everything stirred up. You can see it's constantly kicking that stuff up and sucking it into the filter. But look at these shrimp. This is pretty dang good. Green jades are probably, well, in my experience, by far the hardest color to get going, get good, and this is for sure the line I'm most proud of. Look at the consistency on these guys for green jade especially. That is pretty good. Lots of young shrimp. I love seeing that. So like I think I mentioned this earlier, like there's one of them blue green really ones. I've seen those a couple times before. So that's pretty cool. I wish I had a separate place to put him. Oh, big pleco and shot. See, he's gonna go around. There's a couple in here. We're gonna go around kicking all this crap up. Some have already found the moss. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put, in this tank I like to put some algae wafers there, some algae wafers there, and we're gonna sit and wait for them to gather up. And while they gather up, we'll let some gather up. Then I'll give it probably about a half hour, get a decent gathering of them, and then we'll come in and start calling out the bad ones. Man, I'm pretty pumped about this tank. Look at the consistency. Amazing. All right, so let's get started on the algae wafer a bit. Okay, so after only about 20 minutes, this is how many gathered up so far. Let's see if we can get it. Yeah, look at those shrimp. Those look so good. Let's see. See a couple faint yellow stripes. Now when it comes to these guys, if you see a big mature old female that has a back stripe, I don't really worry about it too much because a lot of them, they all get it at some point. Like that's a female. It's a really faint one. I've pretty much culled out the really dark stripes, so I don't really see too many of those anymore. We put algae wafers over here, and you can see they haven't had time to gather up. It usually takes a couple hours if you let them all gather up right away, but when you let them all gather up in a huge pile, it's hard to pick out the bad ones. Look at those. Oh my goodness, man. There's the first really bad one. There's a couple in there, a couple other ones that ain't super great. I don't even see that many that are super bad. Wow. Alright, so we're going to get a specimen container out. And as they're gathering up, we're going to sit here and watch them. Well, I'm going to sit here and watch them gather up. And as they come up, and I see the bad ones, I'm going to pull them out. But from the looks of this many green jades, there really is not. No, there's a little bad male swimming around. They're in there, but you gotta look really hard. Which when you consider it's green jades, that's pretty hard. Dude, have them this consistent. Well, as you can see, it's already starting to settle down, but here's, and clear up a little bit, but here's a quick tip for when you're doing, you got a tank that's trying to cull out a whole bunch of shrimp and you get them all out like this. So what I've been doing is get all I can see and then go sit down and then go somewhere else and do something else for 20 minutes, come back, get all the ones I can see, come back, you know, get new eyes, reset your eyes, let the shrimp reposition themselves. Maybe some more bad ones will come out, and it'll help you get some more bad shrimp that you need to pull out. This is what we've got so far. Now looking at that, those actually look pretty good, most of them, but we've got some, there's like some brownish, orangish looking ones. I found another, there's a couple really looking ones. There's that one we saw earlier. And there's a little tiny male one that look like a blue, really. And then I've pulled some because they've gone too dark. They're not green anymore. There's the blue green really right there, the little male I saw. So one of these days I'm gonna have to set those aside because I don't see them too often, but now every time I get in here, I usually pull one or two of them. So that might be a future project when I get more tanks up. Well, this is all the time I got for now. I gotta go out of town and do dad stuff. So, I'll check back in tomorrow. Probably about 15 hours from now. I'll check in and we'll see how it's looking then. But I feel pretty good about the shrimp. There's still some more I want to get out, but now that's all cleared out. Like I said like I always say in my other tanks, I'm not making a video every time I'm scooping shrimp out. So, but now that it's cleared out, we're in cull mode on these tanks now. Before we were regenerating shrimp, and now we're in cull mode. And then everything looks good, and we'll start selling out of here again. The numbers have regenerated pretty good. Alright, we'll put these green jades into the Skittles tank. That's all of them. So many cool different shrimp in here. And here we are into the next day. You can see it's still a little cloudy, but look at all that muck and grime and stuff. There's still a little bit right here. I might have to stir up a little bit to get out, but the filters are doing a pretty good job of kicking it up and sucking it up. Something I thought was pretty cool is when I planted this up. This is just a little tiny patch of pea gravel to plant the crypts in. And as the crypts have gotten bigger and bigger, the roots of the crypts have pushed the pea gravel to take up over like half the tank. That's kind of cool. And look at the shrimpies. Pretty happy with these green shrimp. Green jades, we got them all over the place in here still. So, I think this tank is doing better than it ever has. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.